Happy Friday. Today is the 19th of November. This is the 40th episode of season 2 of the Be Your Own Hero show. Hero is an acronym. It means helping everyone reaps optimism. In other words, helping others helps you. I'm your host. I'm sekouwrites. I am a professional creative and the creator of the Hero Ministry movement. And that's my effort to uplift and empower the unhoused in many different ways. Shout out to New Thought Media Network for allowing me this space and this opportunity to talk about my journey of becoming my own hero. And you can find me here Monday through Friday at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. That's a new time. So please make a note, 9:45 a.m. Monday through Friday. Okay, so shout out to the heroes in the chat. Shout out to Tim with the cup of coffee. I'm not sure why it's doing that. But anyway, shout out to the folks watching live. I appreciate you being here. And I'm going to jump into the Hero Ministry Movement news. So this is day 172. That means that I've been running every single day for 172 days in a row. I've been running at least a mile a day from the very beginning, and I've been running at least a 5K, that's 3.1 miles, every day for the past 70 days, including some longer runs. As you know, I ran a 10K in Baltimore this past weekend, if you've been watching the show. So there's about 15 days left before the 4th annual Hoodies for the Homeless event. This is an event that was created by Project Love Strong, and a year ago, at the 3rd annual Hoodies for the Homeless event, that's when I launched what was then known as Hero Hoodies, and it has expanded and expanded and expanded to the point that I'm calling it the Hero Ministry Movement. And I've been seeing the reminders in Facebook. For those of you that aren't on Facebook or aren't familiar with this feature, when you post something on Facebook, Facebook keeps an archive. And so if you post a lot on a certain day, that same day, the next year, so, what's today? Today is November 19th. So November 19th of last year, I must have posted a lot of things around this time. And so Facebook is feeding me those things as memories. Oh, this is what you were doing a year ago. And I'm seeing all these memories of what was the genesis of Hero Hoodies and what has become the Hero Ministry Movement. I'm seeing pictures of myself, with the very first hoodies and packing my mom's car to take hoodies to this event, Project Love Strong's event, Hoodies for the Homeless. So it's kind of a nostalgic moment, and it's hard to believe that it's only been a year that I've been on this path. Anyway, I'm over 460 miles. My goal, as you know, if you've been watching, is 500 miles. And my goal monetarily is $5,000. I want to divide that $5,000 between the nonprofits that I am donating to. Okay, so I may come back to that, but anyway, I launched a new initiative recently. I'm calling it 10 for 10. I'm asking 10 people to donate $10. So if that appeals to you, please feel free to join in on that. But if not, feel free to share it, because I feel like it's a catchy way to promote this effort and something that people might be able to wrap their heads around. $10, 10 people, spread the word, and we can tick on down towards the end. By the way, yesterday I mentioned I was at a birthday party recently, and someone from that group has offered to volunteer. So it's really nice that when people hear about it, people seem to get excited and enthused about what I'm doing. Okay, so backpack drop story. I think I told this one before, but I'm going to tell it again. It's been kind of on my mind today and yesterday, so I'm going to tell this one. I was out at night doing food deliveries, and I saw this woman standing under a scaffolding. It was a rainy night, and I asked if she needed anything. And she said that she was messed up, which sounds like a strange response, but it's actually a response that I get from the unhoused often. Like I ask if they need help, and maybe they're not asked in the way that I ask often. I'm not sure, but I ask. In my habit is to say, "Do you need anything?" And often I will get the response, "Well, I'm kind of messed up," and so I usually push past that by saying, "Okay, well, but what do you need?" Like I don't know how to respond to, I'm messed up, but is there something I can do for you? So I did that with her, and she said, "Well, can we get some food?" And I was like, "Sure." And she was sitting in front of a Dwayne Reed, so I thought that maybe she wanted something from there. And she hesitated for a minute and then said, "Can we get some food?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And as I tell this, I know I've told this story before, at least as a run report. I'm not sure if I told it on the show, but there's a part that I left out, so I'm still going to tell the story. So anyway, we were on Fifth Avenue, which is a very expensive area of Manhattan, and so I was concerned about being able to afford to buy her something to eat, some food in that area. But she knew of a Chipotle that wasn't far, so we went to the Chipotle, and that was its own experience. I'm trying to figure out which parts to pull out. It was just, I felt like she was getting some resistance from the staff there that was not being directed towards me. I think just based on how we looked. And so that was a little challenging. And I felt like I had to be her defender in that space. And then also after I got her something to eat and drink and got her squared away, she just kind of spontaneously hugged me, which I didn't expect. And uh, yeah, so that was a cool connective moment. But the part that I left out before when I told the story is that before we got to that point, she was really confused. So at some point, she looked me up and down and she said, "Are you homeless?" And I was like, "No." And then she's like, "Well, where are you from?" like, like she couldn't figure out why I was doing this, and she didn't ask, and I didn't know what to say about it. So I just answered her questions. I was like, "No, I'm not. I guess I'm not from here. I'm a transplant to New York. I'm not from New York." And she was just really perplexed at my efforts to help. So not only did I give her food, I gave her other things that I had. Like I had an emergency blanket. Thanks to you guys that have sent me items from the Amazon wish list. I appreciate that. I had an emergency blanket to give to her, and she really appreciated that. And I'm gonna tell one more. I'm gonna double up today. I'm gonna tell one more. So there's also a what I call a soccer park. It's just a park, but usually the activity that I see there is soccer. It's on 11th Avenue in the 50s, and I jog there often. As a matter of fact, I ran there today and ran around. You can see pieces of it if you watch my run report on social media. You'll see little snippets of it. Anyway, I run there often, and there's a guy, an unhoused guy, who. What did I tell this one? I don't know. Anyway, he sleeps on the soccer field, and I tried not to wake him because I think I've shared with you before that I've only woken up one unhoused person, and he seemed really startled and afraid, and so I don't want to do that again. So this usually when I get to the soccer park, he's rolled up inside a blanket and he's asleep. But this one particular time recently, he was awake, and so I approached him and asked him if he wanted some tuna, and he said he did. It took a minute, like he seemed confused as to why I was approaching him, but ultimately he said he did. And so I gave him some tuna, and then we chatted a little bit, and I gave him some socks, and I offered him some slippers. He did not want any slippers. The slippers aren't mine. I found them, but they're intact, and so I've been, holding them for someone whose feet might be cold. Anyway, I gave him the emergency blanket also, and he was really fascinated with it because if you haven't seen it, it's really small. It's this tiny little thing, but it expands to be like 6 feet. Yeah, about 6 feet. So he was talking about how small it was, and he was very tickled by it. And so it was fun to see him be tickled by something, to be smiling and joyful. So I've seen him since then, but again, he's been asleep because I typically run early in the morning. So I haven't been able to ask him if it worked for him. And when I ran there this morning, he wasn't there. So anyway, those are two stories about the backpack drops. And I think I am going to circle back to the nonprofits because it's something I want to say is kind of sitting on me. So I'm going to talk about that and see what happens. I'm inspired by Rev Melissa's Unplugged. If you haven't been watching Rev Melissa's show this week, she's been just kind of off script and speaking from the heart. So I'm going to try that. It's definitely not my forte. I definitely prefer to be on script, but here we go. So I'm feeling a little low because last night I found out that one of what I've been calling the Elevating 8 nonprofits does not want to be a part of this effort. So that was a bit shocking to me. I thought that, well, I thought that everybody was on board, but it turns out there's one nonprofit that wasn't aware of it at all, and then there's another nonprofit that doesn't want to be a part of it, and so it kind of took the wind out of me a little bit because this is hard, and I don't talk about that often, but it's not easy. It's not easy getting up day after day and doing this. And there are elements of it that are especially difficult that I haven't talked about at all. Like one of the things that's most difficult that you would never guess probably is that it's very difficult for me to put on something that says hero every day. So I don't know about you, but I don't often wake up feeling like a hero. That's something I have to fight for. It's also difficult to be donating 100% of the proceeds to these organizations when I got bills that I'm behind on. Then I got things that, sorry. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that information. I'm just going to sit I'm going to sit with it and, and maybe make some adjustments to what this is and how I move forward with this project. I'll take the weekend to think about it, but it was a bit of a shock to me. I think today, day 172 was probably my most difficult day in terms of getting out and running, because I just felt a little bit like, maybe maybe this effort isn't appreciated by everyone that I wanted it to be appreciated by. So I have to just work through that. But just so you know that there are people that have said disparaging things about this project. Someone called me self-aggrandizing, which is basically just, pumping up myself in terms of wearing something that says hero. And so I haven't talked about the people that kind of detract from this effort, but it happens and I deal with it as it happens. It's just that I didn't realize that there are some entities within this circle that are not appreciative of what it is that I'm doing. So I'm going to sit with that and make some adjustments as I move forward. So just wanted to share that, and let's move on to talk about money. So here's our affirmation. I'm so happy and grateful to be a multi-millionaire in every area of my life. I'm so happy and grateful to be a multi-millionaire in every area of my life. And again, that's about expressing abundance in all the different ways, not just financially, but expressing abundance in every area. And don't forget to try to feel happy and try to feel grateful, because those are the feelings that will really embed it in your subconscious. So resources. Again, I'm going to do this early so that we can all be referring to the same things. Check out my podcast. It's called the Get Rich 101 podcast. In that, I'm reading The Science of Getting Rich, which is a book by Wallace D. Wattles, where he talks about essentially the mindset of abundance. Also, obviously, check out his book, The Science of Getting Rich. It's available on Amazon, and it's not at all what you would expect. As a matter of fact, there's a whole chapter of the book that's dedicated to gratitude. And the essential idea is the more grateful you are, the closer to the divine you are. So in a book about the science of getting rich, you wouldn't expect there to be so much talk about the divine, but that's part of the mindset. So check that out. Check out Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Just a reminder, this is a man, Richard Kiyosaki, who grew up with a father who was a PhD and very scholarly, and his best friend's father was a high school dropout, I think. And you would expect that it was Richard's father who was the rich dad and his best friend's father was a poor dad, but it was the other way around. And he learned much more about the way money actually works from the dropout. And that dovetails with something I've said on this show before, that there was a survey done of millionaires, and the majority, not some, not half, the majority of millionaires that they surveyed were C, D, F students and dropouts. And the majority of the people they interviewed who were very accomplished scholastically had trouble with finances, with trouble with money, and weren't able to break out into being a millionaire or multimillionaire. And that's basically about the way the school system trains us to think in a very boxed in kind of way, especially as it relates to money. So check out that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It will help expand your thinking beyond the ways in which you've been taught to think about money. That said, moving on, giant beast that is the global economy. I would just search for global economy. It's a show. It's on Prime, Amazon Prime, and it will explode all your previous notions about how the economy works. There's some really groundbreaking stuff in there, and it's funny because the host is funny. He's a comedic actor, so it'll be light, but you'll learn some things that you would not have expected. And obviously, there's a bit in there about crypto, and it was before crypto was as big as it is now. So check that out, episode 7. And then I've mentioned Black Mirror and Electric Dream. I won't speak about those again today, but bigmoneycrypto.com. Hopefully, you're just looking at the headlines, just taking a glance at it. And today, I took a glance and I see that there is an airport in North Dakota where they're installing a cryptocurrency ATM, and they're calling it the first government-hosted cryptocurrency kiosk. Like, I don't know if that's true. I haven't done the research, but still, what that says to us, those of us who are trying to invest and trying to figure out how to earn some revenue off this burgeoning empire, is it says that the mainlining is happening, and it's happening fast. I mentioned yesterday that Staples Arena, which has been Staples Arena for a very long time, is now Crypto.com Arena. Crypto.com, by the way, is a very big company. Can I even call the company? It's so many things. It's a company, but it's also a cryptocurrency. They have their own cryptocurrency, and it's also a company that sells credit cards. They create credit cards that are cryptocurrency based. So what does that mean? How to explain? So it's basically a Visa or MasterCard, but when you use it, you get cash back in cryptocurrency, their specific cryptocurrency, in the Crypto.com cryptocurrency. And so it's like, it's not Bitcoin or Ethereum or the other cryptocurrencies, but you get this specific cryptocurrency. And it's a very interesting business model. And their cryptocurrency seems to be rising in value because they're promoting their card so heavily, and people are getting the cards, and therefore, because they're getting the cards, they're getting the cryptocurrency. So it's kind of like a built-in ecosystem. I'm not sure what the utility of the cryptocurrency is. Again, cryptocurrency, because it's programmable, can have functions. It can actually do things other than be exchanged for goods and services. So I'm not sure what the exact functionality is, but it's pretty interesting. So just check it out. I've already told you the website because that was very smart. They built the website into the name. So this formerly Staples Arena is now Crypto.com Arena. The website is Crypto.com. And you'll go there and you'll see different offers for credit cards. And it'll tell you about how it works. I'm not recommending it. I have no real intel about it. I haven't done it for myself. I'm just aware of it. And I think it's a fascinating business concept. Anyway, all that said, pay attention again to all the things that are happening in the world around us as it relates to crypto. The mayor-elect of New York has promised to take his first 3 paychecks in Bitcoin. There is a team, I think in Australia, a baseball team that is going to, what did they say? That they're going to start paying their players in cryptocurrency? Anyway, the mainlining is happening, which for me makes me feel like the timeline is shortening to get involved financially in cryptocurrency. So that's where my attention is right now. I am focused on, at the present moment, buying stock in companies that work in cryptocurrency. So you can just straight buy cryptocurrency. You can open a brokerage account on Coinbase.com. Seems to be the one that people gravitate towards in the beginning, but there are many. There's Coinbase.com. I'm saying COINBASE.com. There's also Gemini.com. Gemini, by the way, was created by the Winklevoss twins, the twins who created Facebook at Harvard and had it taken away from them by Mark Zuckerberg. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if that's exactly how it went down, but That's the story, that they created it. They hired Mark Zuckerberg to code it, and then he took it for himself. And so I do know that there was a huge settlement that Zuckerberg paid to the Winklevoss twins. They rolled that money into essentially what became Gemini. Like it wasn't quite that clean, but they basically parlayed that money into this world of the crypto universe and NFTs, etc. So you've got a few different brokerage house options. Those are two, Gemini and Coinbase. And you can buy cryptocurrency directly, but just prepare yourself. It moves fast. Like there's a lot of graphs and charts, and it can look a little confusing, but that's how you buy cryptocurrency directly. There are other third-party apps like Cash App, Venmo, Robinhood, where they say you can buy cryptocurrency, but what I've been seeing is that it is held as an IOU, meaning that you don't actually buy the currency. You are getting an IOU from these companies, so that if you ever actually want the cryptocurrency, then they give it to you. I honestly don't understand quite what that means, other than I'm taking it as a warning to keep cryptocurrency on cryptocurrency platforms like Coinbase and Gemini. And even further than that, what you're really supposed to do is take it off of those systems onto a physical hard drive so that you control it. So it's in your hand, in your physical space, so that nobody can hack it. And that's something I haven't done yet. So when I do that, I'll talk about how that's done. Anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent. But the point is, I feel like the timeline for getting invested in crypto is shortening. So what I've been doing is buying stock in companies that are already invested. What's been really fascinating to me to note as I do that is that ETFs, those are exchange traded funds. We've talked about those a little bit. That's like buying the whole aisle of a supermarket. So if you're talking about the potato chip aisle, instead of trying to choose individual stocks like Ruffles or Pringles or Lay's, you just buy ETF, which is all the potato chips in that aisle, right? So there are several proposals for ETFs that have cryptocurrency in them on the floor of the SEC. And as far as I know, none of them have been approved yet. But that's for the general public. There are ETFs, cryptocurrency-based ETFs, that are actively being bought and sold here in the United States, but they're only available to accredited investors. What, you ask, is an accredited investor? All it means is you have to have accumulated a net worth of $1 million. So literally, if you win the lottery today for $1 million, tomorrow you can be an accredited investor, which is mind-boggling. That's just another way of separating the haves and the have-nots. Because it's not like you have to test, it's not like you have to learn some information about money. You're the same person from one day to the next, but you won the lottery. But now you have access to high-yield projects like exchange ETFs that have cryptocurrency in them. So anyway, mind-boggling. All right, so to close out, I would suggest, I'm not a financial advisor, but I would suggest Googling stocks to buy for exposure to cryptocurrency. So these will be companies that are already invested in cryptocurrency, and you can buy a share in their company to gain exposure to cryptocurrency early before this mainstreaming completes itself. Okay, so that's my time. Stay tuned for prayer time at 10:15, and right after that, stay tuned for, oh no, sorry. Today is meditation with the moon. So there is no sit with Rev Melissa today. I repeat, there is no sit with Rev Melissa today at 10:30. If you want to see Rev Melissa, tune back in at 11 p.m. tonight for meditation with the moon. Bring a pen, bring paper, and probably what we'll be doing is something on vows. She's been talking about doing something with vows. So keep doing, be a hero, be your own hero, and remember that now, right now, is better than perfect. Later.